Thank you very much, Jake. And our guest today is Beaver Dam Police Lieutenant Jeremiah Johnson. We're going to be talking about a lot of different things that affect us here in Beaver Dam. Of course, if you would like to participate in the conversation, maybe we're going to be talking about something you have a question about, go ahead and call us or text us at 920-887-9595 or call the studio line at 885-4446. Jeremiah, welcome back.
Hey, good to be here again. It's a beautiful day, you know.
It is a beautiful day, and, we're getting in the fall, still pretty warm, but things are coming up that remind us that it's fall, and one of the big celebrations of the year in Beaver Dam, of course, is the Beaver Dam High School homecoming.
That's right. That's right. A big week for the school coming up here. And with the parade, with the football game, with the dance, and just all the stuff that's going on in the community and associated with homecoming, it's a good opportunity to talk about all the extra stuff that the Beaver Dam Police Department and Fire Department and the city and the Chamber of Commerce all get involved with, hand in hand with the school district, so we can have a lot of fun and be safe while we're doing it too. So yeah, that's coming up. That is November 10th. We have a homecoming parade, which goes through downtown Beaver Dam and departs from the high school towards the end of the school day. Comes through about I want to say maybe like 3:30ish, maybe 3:15. It'll be coming through the downtown area. Everyone in the public is invited. They'll have the marching band. They'll have the floats for all the different homecoming courts and the different sports teams, especially the football team, and a lot of local businesses as well. So it's kind of a cool little thing to come down and see the parade. And that, like I said, that's October 10th coming up. And then also we have the football game later on in that evening back at the high school at the field. I'm sure that's going to draw a large crowd, which is also a thing for the police department to be monitoring, and we'll hit on that in a little bit. And then I believe the homecoming dance is coming up on the Saturday after that. So I'm pretty sure it's Saturday after that. So yeah, it's a big week. It's Spirit Week as well, I know, at the schools, and I know we had Officer Matthew Edwards join us, and he was our elementary SRO. We have Tony Carroll, he's our high school SRO, and Spirit Week always gets a lot of energy with the kids and stuff like that. So he enjoys that. He likes being a part of that, but also he's kind of on the lookout too to make sure things don't get out of hand, and.
Well, certainly. I was going to ask what kind of unique challenges from a public safety standpoint does homecoming present?
Sure. Well, so from the SRO perspective, there's a lot of extra stuff that happens at the high school. Kids get excited. Sometimes you have issues around the homecoming dance. You could get into some underage drinking that needs to be addressed. We want to make sure our kids are being safe. There's also just, kids are out late. It's a mass gathering of kids outside of school in a different environment. And we want to make sure that we have enough public safety available to encourage people to make good decisions, as well as react to anything that might happen as well too. So that's also just, one of the big things that the school district and the police department are always concerned about with homecoming coming up. If you look, recent history has been very good to us, so whatever we have been doing, we're going to continue to do that. I think kids are making better choices, but I think when I was growing up, and maybe when you were growing up, you always heard those stories of, kids that would go out and they would sneak some stuff into the dance, and then they would drive after drinking alcohol, and there were large crashes, and you hear about those tragedies and things like that, and we're looking to avoid that as much as possible. So that's why it's good to hear, like I said, recent history, but the police department partners with the school district, education, that sort of thing, to make sure that kids are making those good choices, and parents too. It's also important for parents to have talks with their students, their kids, to make sure that they're making good choices when it comes this homecoming weekend.
I don't want to give anybody any bad ideas, but is vandalism a problem around this time?
There's every once in a while, there's a couple of pranks that pop up throughout the community. Especially with rival sports teams. I can't recall who they're playing for homecoming. I know Watertown was just last weekend, I believe. But there's a little bit of a rivalry, and we're always ready for a prank or two, and hopefully the vandalism is not something that causes damage. That is something that we would definitely be looking into, and we don't really shy away and say, oh, it's just a prank, no big deal. It's, yeah, we would do criminal charges and make sure that the people who damage something are paying for it and repairing it. And we do our best to make sure it doesn't happen in the first place. So if
there's
there's no
no special
lenience.
homecoming dispensation or anything.
No, absolutely not. Yeah, you can't do that. And we get it. Like if there's a friendly prank where nobody gets hurt, nothing gets damaged, well, have some fun, okay? We're not trying to stop that kind of stuff. But if you have people that are, spray painting, or if you have people that are throwing eggs, as an example, that's no good. That damages stuff. It wrecks things. Toilet papering, not good either. We don't like that, because people got to clean up the mess, but it does happen. But yeah, we're aware that this kind of stuff happens. So when the sun goes down on homecoming week, the patrol officers out there are, asking questions, looking, hey, why are you walking around with all that toilet paper? Just like a clerk at Walmart might be asking, why are there a group of teenage boys and they're all buying large packs of toilet paper? Why would that be? Why are they all buying eggs? Stuff like that. Yeah, stuff happens. So, yeah. But yeah, more seriously though, the drinking and driving aspect as well too. So I highly encourage parents, talk to your kids, talk to them, make sure they're safe. Talk to them, if they're not driving, who are they driving with? Are they kids that are making good choices? Because there's, I believe recently, not recently, is probably over 10 years ago, there in Fond du Lac, there was a situation where there was a large, almost like a van full of kids, and someone was drinking and driving, and I believe several of the 7 or 8 kids that were in that van ended up dying in a major accident. It was a rollover, and it was just absolutely terrible. And you hear about that kind of stuff, and you think about drinking and driving, and that choice was made while the people sitting in the back seat, were they aware of what they were getting themselves into? Did they stop and think, were they drinking themselves? Maybe saying, oh, no, it's fine, and they were laid back and didn't care that the driver was drinking too, or whatever it might be. Just, talk with your kids. Make sure they're aware of who they're with, what they're doing. And parents, too, should be aware of who they're with and what they're doing. And just, like I said, those good choices. So
you mentioned parents, too, and adults and parents bear some responsibility when things go wrong, when kids drink and things get out of hand.
Sure. I think it's the responsibility of the parents to, number one, educate their kids about those choices, about when it's appropriate and legal to be consuming alcohol, when it's a good idea to do it, when it's safe to do it, understanding the risks of, hey, if you had a couple of drinks, you don't get behind the wheel. Buzz driving is drunk driving, and exemplify that too for their kids. And then number two, not just education, but number two, I think, would be the asking of the questions, the awareness, if you will, of what your kids are doing, who they're with, who they're hanging out, what they're doing. I mean, not like, spying on them, not necessarily, being that helicopter parent, but having that adult conversation and building that trust with your kids of, hey, this is where you're going, and they're going there, and, trust and verify. If you know that they're there and they're telling you the truth, build that trust with them. They'll earn it with you. You get to have that peace of mind knowing that they're making good choices. It's better for everybody.
Very good.
So, yeah.
We're talking to Lieutenant Jeremiah Johnson of the Beaver Dam Police Department. We are going to take a break and be right back. You're listening to Community Comment on 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.
This week's Mid-State...
Thank you very much, Jake. We're talking with Beaver Dam Police Lieutenant Jeremiah Johnson about things happening this time of year. If you'd like to join the conversation, you can offer a comment or ask a question. The number to call or text is 920-887-9595. You can also call us at the studio line at 885-4446. Right after homecoming, it's kind of a fall theme. We need some pumpkin spice lattes or
Yeah,
something.
we should. Absolutely. Yeah.
For this show. But we just got done talking about homecoming, and before you know it, it'll be time for trick-or-treating.
Absolutely. That's just right around the corner. According to the Chamber of Commerce here, we're going to be doing trick-or-treating in the city of Beaver Dam, citywide, on October 26th. That's a Sunday. Which is our tradition. We always do the Sunday before Halloween, at 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Throughout the whole city. So, trick or treating. Get your costumes out. Get your big pumpkin getting ready to get filled with all those goodies and treats and everything like that, and go out and have some fun and do some trick or treating.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and I think parents especially appreciate the opportunity to take part in a sanctioned trick-or-treating event.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah. It is a big community event. We have tons and tons of kids, tons and tons of adults out there. I mean, it's a busy time. If you're driving around, you can just see busy streets, people up and down the sidewalks, all the costumes and everything. It has been a big event. It's very successful in the city. So with that said, you've got a lot of people out on the streets, and you have people driving around, and we want to make sure we're being safe. A couple years ago, we actually had a child in his Halloween costume get hit in a crosswalk. He's okay. Everything's fine there, but the potential for something to be very, very seriously wrong, or injury, death, that sort of thing, that can happen, especially if people aren't paying attention. So I caution motorists to be careful, when you're not just like by the crosswalks. Be careful during this time, because you will have kids that may not know the rules of where to cross at a crosswalk, or they're excited. A perfect example, I tell parents, like, when you are taking your kids trick-or-treating, make sure you go up and down the sidewalk. Don't cut across the street and zigzag over the street several times. Cross once, go all the way down, cross, and go all the way back up. Hit the left side of the street, then the right side of the street, if you will.
Stands to reason, keeps you out of traffic as much as possible.
Exactly. Yep. And then you're crossing at the ends versus in the middle. So that'll help your kids be safe. That'll help the motorists out, waiting for large groups of kids to be crossing the street, and that's the thing, tell your kids, look both ways. Sometimes it's tough in the costumes, and that's the other thing too. A lot of costumes are different colors. Sometimes they're dark. It starts getting a little bit, dim at around 6 o'clock at night. I don't know, what kind of Halloween costumes did you have when you were a kid? Did you have the mask ever?
This would have been back in the 1970s. You don't see them much anymore, but the plastic masks,
yes,
with the rubber band in the back, that was pretty common.
Could you see out of those things? I could never.
Not well, no peripheral vision.
Right? Yeah, you had to turn, you had to use your torso and turn. You couldn't you couldn't look out. It was like you had a view of straight forward, and that was
turn your whole head. You just couldn't move your eyes. Yeah.
My point being is, tell your kids, if they're wearing something, look both ways. Make sure they're not just got that tunnel vision. The blinders on, almost literally.
For sure.
Yeah.
So there's all kinds of advice that we can give our kids, especially, I know one tip is to steer away from dark-colored costumes.
Correct.
If the kids are going to be out and about at night.
It's hard to win that battle with kids.
Oh, it's Halloween. I mean, a lot of black costumes. Mm-hmm. So what are you going to do?
Be careful.
You know your kids. You know what battles to choose. But,
right. Exactly.
But at the end of the day, I would think, especially when it comes to being out on the streets, it's really the onus is on the adults behind the wheel.
Sure.
To take ownership of the situation.
Definitely the drivers.
Little kids, their brains are 20 years from being fully developed. It's really up to us adults to be on our toes and make sure things don't happen.
Exactly. Yes. And that's why I'm talking about it for the motorist is, as much as kids aren't supposed to be moving suddenly into pedestrians into traffic like that. They're not supposed to do that. However, how terrible would it be, even though it was their fault that it happens? That's why slow down, be careful, and when you see the trick-or-treaters out there. I know North Center Street is Highway 33. There's always tons of trick-or-treaters out there. That's one area up in the Northwest I'd say be extra careful, especially just because that's people tend to speed down that road to begin with because it's Highway 33. But there's tons of kids out there in that residential neighborhood going to all those different houses, so be careful all over. Talk with your kids also as well to make sure that they're going to houses that have their lights on. We will have extra patrol. We will have our auxiliary division out there, as well as all the patrol officers, making sure that we're patrolling, making sure that people are being safe. A reminder as well to some of the parents. I know it's kind of a bah humbug, if you will, but you can't have open alcohol containers out on the sidewalks while you're trick-or-treating. Shouldn't be doing that. That is against the law as well. So we'll be looking for that as well to encourage people to keep the alcohol at home on their property. But yeah, have a discussion with your kids about, go with them, especially if they're young, making sure that they're going to houses that are lit up, check your candy as well when you get back home, making sure that they're all packaged up and sealed. Anything looks weird, throw it out. It's not worth the risk, But yeah, check your candy with your kids and
Yeah. I don't want to get things too dark, but I think it is important to address, and it is that people who have been convicted of committing certain crimes against children.
Excellent question.
There are laws in place for Halloween.
Absolutely, yes. So we do have our probation and parole, which is run by the state Department of Community Corrections. They go out and they do Halloween checks at known sex offenders or people that have otherwise restrictions on their rules of probation. They go out and they check those houses. They cannot have any Halloween decorations up. They cannot turn their lights on. They cannot be answering the door if somebody comes up and knocks on it for trick-or-treating. They are made well aware of those rules in advance, and our probation and parole officers partner with us to check houses that, all the listed people that are on the registry are checked in the city of Beaver Dam ahead of time. So it's good that the public knows that. It's good that we do that. We have not had a whole lot of issues with something like that, and we do those checks right around the time of trick-or-treating to make sure they are in compliance before trick-or-treating happens, to avoid any issues where there'd be a violation of the rules or any issues where a child would be put at risk.
Very good. We're talking about staying safe this time of year, especially with homecoming and Halloween coming up, and after that, winter parking, and I'm sure that's something that a lot of people have some thoughts about. So
the snow is in the air. You can hear the jingle bells.
So you might want to get ready to call or text if you want to take part in that conversation. We are going to take a break right now and be right back. We're talking to Jeremiah Johnson on Community Comment on 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.
Hey, it's Stacy.
WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.
Thank you very much, Jake. We're talking about staying safe with Beaver Dam Police Lieutenant Jeremiah Johnson. If you have a question or a comment, we invite you to call or text 920-887-9595. You can also call the studio line at 885-4446. It seems kind of strange talking about this on a day like today, because I think we could even get up to a high of 88 degrees this afternoon.
Absolutely, and 90 over the weekend is what I heard.
Doesn't even feel like fall yet, but it's probably not too early to start thinking about the winter parking rules.
Indeed.
That happen in Beaver Dam.
Yes. So start November 1st, and that's why we're talking about it, because next time we do community comment here, it'll be November already, and it's already started.
Yeah, November's a month away, less than. That's crazy.
Yes, just around the corner. So there is an application process for winter parking. So the rules are, once November 1st comes around to the end of April, you can't park on the city streets overnight without a permit. And that's between 2 a.m. and 6 a.m. Reason that law is in place is it gives our DPW guys and our snowplow trucks the ability to clear the streets in case it snows, which is great because we want nice, clean, dry roads in those winter days. We don't want to be slipping and sliding around. Also, it saves on taxpayer money, because then if you leave the ice out on the road, it seeps into the cracks. It pries the cracks open when the ice and water expands and causes more issue. You know how they say there's always 2 seasons in Wisconsin, winter and construction? Well, it just makes the construction season longer. So that's why it's so important for us to have the streets cleared between 2 and 6 a.m. every night. So in the case it does snow or they have other maintenance to do, those trucks can get out there and do their job quickly and efficiently and get that ready for the morning rush hour here in town. So that's why that law is out there. So I always feel it's important to explain it's not just because we want to generate money and write a whole bunch of parking tickets for the city. It's actually the other way around. We want to spend some money, pay some plow truck drivers efficiently, and keep those streets clean and have your taxpayer dollars, do their job, and have a nice, safe road to drive on here in the city.
Are those permits available right now?
They are, absolutely. So a permit costs $25, and it lasts all season, but then you have to get one next year. I'm sorry, and it lasts over into the year of 2026 in the January, February, March, April time frame as well. Exactly, yep. And then come fall of 2026, then you need another payment. So that $25 will get you through the entire winter season. You can apply in person at the Beaver Dam Police Department and pick up a hard copy. There's a couple of questions in there that you have to answer. You pay your $25 fee. It goes through an approval process, and then we call you and say, hey, your parking pass is ready. Swing by, come and pick it up. Now, this year, for the first time, we have online applications, and you can go right on your phone and go to the City of Beaver Dam website and pull it up, and you can answer the questions. Let's see here. I got it right here. Beaver Dam parking permit. If you Google that, it'll go the first link you have up there, quick links, permits and licenses. And you go down here. I don't know if you can see it. It's difficult to show. But you click on the parking permit one, and it'll tell you all about the rules and regulations. And you click next, and then you start filling out your information. So it's very nice. You can do it on the phone now. It's the same questions that you would have to answer. It's the same fee that you would do if you did the handwritten version in person, but you can do it from the comfort of your own home. So a couple of things to know about the application process. That approval is based on how much parking you have at your house, how many people you have living there. Like they ask, essentially, they're checking to make sure that there's a need. It's not just something where I park my cars on the street, even though I've got one car and I have a 4-car garage. Well, we might say at that point, like, you should probably just take your car and park it in the garage, and we're basically looking to make sure that we're not overselling the permits in a certain area for people that don't necessarily need them or don't need to park on the street all the time in this winter hours. We're trying to reduce the amount of cars that are on the road to begin with, so we don't have to drive around them. So yeah, that's just to be aware of that with the application process. We're looking to identify the need for parking on the street overnight.
I was going to ask, what if there are multiple vehicles in your household?
Sure, and that asks that in that question. So if you Are you asking if you need a different permit for each vehicle? Because you do.
Well, yeah, or if there are any limits to how many permits one household can get.
So there wouldn't be a limit per se, but let's say, for instance, if you've got, 4 kids and they're all in high school or driving age, or you got people coming back and forth from college, you just have to put that in your application and explain why you need those cars. And that helps, and, helps us understand why. And we take a look at, between us and DPW, we take a look at what space is available and make that decision based on that. So it's rare to have one turned down that doesn't get approved, but it does happen from time to time.
Mm-hmm. Okay, very good. And what about, say, you have overnight visitors from out of town?
Excellent question. Okay, so this does happen all the time. That's an easy fix. You can pick up the phone and call dispatch and let us know, and we will make exceptions for 1 or 2 nights and things like that. You just got to let us know. Give us the license plate of the car and a description and where it's going to be parked. And we let our third shift patrol officers know about that, and it's no problem. As long as we know, we won't put a ticket on it.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
and as long as it's approved, you know what I'm saying?
Right,
Yeah.
right. Very good. So there are exceptions, so you just let people know. What about the permits themselves? Is this something you have to display, like on your dashboard or your windshield?
Good question. Yeah. So the permit actually goes on the back left-hand side of your bumper in the car. It shouldn't be up in the windshield. It shouldn't be on the right side. It's got to be in the back left.
Back left bumper.
Back left bumper. So as we drive down the street, we can see that permit as we drive past the car. So the goal is to make it quick and efficient. We don't necessarily want to be getting out and then, putting the ticket on and then notice as we're putting it underneath, there's a permit there. Oh man, I got to go fix that problem. So yeah, please, it's required by law and rules and regulations to put that in the back left-hand corner of your bumper, prominently displayed so we can see it.
I imagine somebody who might be in violation might be a little upset if maybe we've had a long stretch, maybe it's a mild winter, and there's
Sure.
a long stretch of no snow, and there's no snow in the forecast for any foreseeable amount of time, and somebody gets a citation for not being properly registered and parked on the street.
Sure.
I imagine that's got to be a sore spot for some folks.
It does happen. It's, in my experience as a law enforcement officer, things that get people angry, parking is in the top 5. It's I don't know why, but it does. It's if we generate complaints, we hear about neighbors calling on other neighbors, anonymous complaints, it is parking that does that. I don't know why. We do our best. We don't know. We can't predict the weather. So when we're enforcing the winter parking statutes, it's always best, in my opinion, to be consistent with it. So even though there isn't snow, if there was snow the next night, it doesn't make sense for us to, hey, there's snow coming, and then we're out there and we're putting a gajillion tickets out there because people weren't used to it. It almost seems unfair. It's kind of like a gotcha moment, like, hey, you forgot there was going to be snow, so, that's why we try to be as consistent as possible. Yes, there are some nights when it's not snowing that we may not get to the winter parking enforcement. That does happen. It does happen because it is third shift, and we wouldn't call extra people in just to do the parking. But in general, it's best for us to be consistent, so that way people have it fresh in mind and know that if it is going to snow, there's not this huge wave of parking tickets where we're writing 20 of them a night. We kind of, once November 1st we start with a couple warnings. We've got a little bit of leniency, especially if it isn't snowing, but we want people to know that, it is the best thing for them to either get the permit or park off the street.
Very good.
One other thing I wanted to add, or
Yes,
do
of
you have
course.
a break coming up?
We can take that break later. That's okay.
Real quick, I'm just going to
Yeah.
say, the mayor actually starts that. It declares that winter parking is in effect after November 1st. So even though November 1st is just around the corner, they say start at some point in time, and an announcement is made on Facebook and stuff like that. So there is a chance that between, if there isn't any snow until November 15th, there might be that period of time where it's in effect, people are getting their permits, but then the mayor will say start.
Very
So
good.
just heads up on that. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So much more to talk about, but we do have to take a break right here. We will be right back. You are listening to Community Comment on 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.
welcomes you to the next segment of Community Comment on 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.
This community comment. Here's Terry Bell.
Thank you very much, Jake. And we are talking to Beaver Dam Police Lieutenant Jeremiah Johnson, as we do every time this month. If you would like to join the conversation, feel free to call or text 920-887-9595 or 885-4446. And we were just talking about winter parking, and there are just some things you wanted to make sure that we get the word out about.
Yeah, absolutely. As we were saying at the end, the mayor can start or stop winter parking at any time. So the range is between November 1st and April 30th, but the mayor can say stop and go depending on what the weather's looking like. So just a heads up on that. Usually once they start, they keep it in effect for the whole winter parking season. But I just encourage everybody, get your applications in. If you have a car that needs to be parked on the street, just plan ahead so there's not a rush. That's why we're kind of talking about it now, because when that first snowfall starts to hit, or we do our first round of enforcement and we put those notifications or even tickets on those cars, people start saying, oh man, I got to get that permit. And then we're overloaded and almost inundated with the amount of approvals we got to go through. So please, if you know that you need a winter parking pass, apply for it now. And I'm telling you, it's a lot easier on the app on your phone. If you're of that generation that enjoys doing it on the phone, do it on the phone. It's going to be easier for everybody. Otherwise, you can do it in person. It's no problem either. We've done it that way for years. We'll keep doing it. So please apply. We were talking about once you have your permits, we were talking about how we're looking for efficient snowplows and stuff like that. One of the requirements is if you have that winter parking pass and there is some snow that falls onto your car, obviously the plows are going to go through. They have to go around your car in order to get down the road. So that leaves snow on your car and in front and in back as well. You know, that little like path that they do as they're like changing.
Yeah, there's like a ridge of snow.
Yeah, like a triangle, if you will, between the curb and your car. So it is the responsibility of the permit holder to take care of that snow within 24 hours. And that's part of it too, is just the knowing that, hey, if you are going to have your car parked on the road and the snowplow can't get to the snow that's underneath or next to your car, part of saying, all right, I am going to do it, but then you're also pledging to the city as well that I'm going to clear that snow up as well. So that's why I wanted to say, when you get your winter parking permit pass, you definitely have that responsibility within 24 hours of that snowfall to get that snow cleared out and to, off your car and from front and back. So it helps out the city so they don't have to come back and get it the next night. So
it's probably a good opportunity to talk too about staying safe when you're driving, sharing the road with snowplows.
Absolutely, yes. Shoot, I was going to look up the feet, and I forget it every winter. If you are doing more than 35 miles per hour, or if you're on a road that is more than 35 miles per hour, I kind of want to look up the details here, and unfortunately we don't have another segment for me to do this. You have to stay back, I believe it's 200 feet, I want to say. Oh, don't quote me on this. I apologize. I forget it every winter season. I got to brush up on it because the snowplowers aren't out right now, so I haven't had a lot of traffic stops with that kind of stuff. But stay back away from your snowplows. Give them some room to operate, especially when you're on higher speed roads. When you're in the city, obviously give them space as well. You never know where they're going to go with the maneuver. If you see those green and amber flashing lights, that means, hey, snowplow at work, let them do their thing. They might be salting. You don't necessarily want that salt rock on your car either, so be careful around them. I was going to say, we were talking about how we wanted the snowplows to be efficient, and not have to be delayed and stuff like that. When they are kind of going around cars, they have to slow down, because if you go around a car fast, I mean, if you've ever have you ever seen a snowplow versus car accident? It's not pretty for the car. The car is going to be totaled, and if you got a parked car hitting by a snowplow, it's not going to be good for the car. A couple of scratches on the front of the plow, very minor damage to the actual truck, and then that car's done. So the more efficient and safe that we can have the roads, the more time that they have to move around those cars is huge. So be careful around the snowplows. Give them some room. Let them operate and let them do their thing. So
Yeah, certainly. So once again, now is the time to get your permits. They're $25.
They
and you
are.
can do that at the police station or online.
Yes, absolutely. So you can go online to the City of Beaver Dam website. So that would be cityofbeaverdam.com, or you can just Google search Beaver Dam parking permits, and it's usually the first or second thing that comes up. Or you can stop by the Beaver Dam Police Department, and you can pick up an application in person. No difference in price or anything like that. It's just how you want to do it. What's more easy for you.
And then if you do it online, I'm guessing the permit comes in the mail at some point.
It's a little bit different. You actually have to go and pick it up from the police department.
Okay.
Yeah, you still have to go and pick it up. I don't believe they mail them out. So
Okay.
yeah.
And they're about so big, I'm guessing.
Correct. Yep. So they are a little bit bigger than years past. I'd say they're probably about 4 inches wide, if you will, maybe 3 inches tall. But yeah, they're fluorescent. You can tear it off when it's done. You might have to do a little bit of scraping, but it's not terrible. But at the end of the winter season, you can either put next year's on top of it or peel it off. So.
And, in spite of some of the inconvenience that people may complain about, there are a lot of good reasons that this system is in place the way it is.
Absolutely. So, like I said, it makes it easier for our DPW workers and our snowplow trucks to make sure that the roads are safe, to make sure that they can get the snow out of it, to make sure essentially that we have a nice city to live in and nice, safe roads. So, the reason why essentially we have the parking permits out there is just to prevent from the whole town parking on the street overnight, and then we just have a big mess. As the snow continues to pile up, I mean, what are the plows going to do with that snow? The big snow banks over the parked cars, and it just keeps moving out and out and out, and more narrow roads. So we have to do something. So that's the best way to kind of get people to be a part of helping out the snowplows.
Very good. And anything else people ought to know about getting ready for winter?
You know what? Just remember when that first snowplow hits. I'm sorry, when that first snowplow hits. Snowfall. Why?
Snowfall.
Freudian slip, maybe?
I don't know. I get it.
Snowfall. It always seems to be that people kind of forget how to drive in the winter. Myself, I'm guilty of it. I forget what it feels like to come up to that first stop sign, and the roads are a little slick.
I think
and
we
you
all
feel
have that first.
Yeah, the anti-lock brakes will kick in. You're like, ooh, hey, good morning. The roads are slippery. We always forget about that. So if you are safety-minded, check your tires. Make sure that you got good tire pressure. Check your treads. Maybe rotate your tires or go in and get some nicer tires for the winter. Prepare yourself, especially if you have newer drivers in your family as well. It's probably important to have a talk with your kids. I've got 20 years driving experience. They've got 2. That kind of stuff. Have a little chat and make sure they got good tires. And then when that first snowfall hits, be aware. And it's not just you, it's other drivers too. If you forgot that, you got to slow down and give yourself that extra stopping distance because it takes a little bit longer to stop, did everybody else remember that too? So be careful around intersections. Drive defensively. When you're out on 151, watch those lane changes. You'll see cars spun out on the side of the road that was just driving in a straight line. It hit a slippery patch. They lose control and off they go. So those are all those warning signs, just to kind of be aware of it, drive safe, avoid those accidents. And we see it, we have Spillman that we use as our computing system for dispatch. And when the snow starts falling, you can see that screen fill up with the calls, runoff, accident. And it fills up the whole screen, and all the deputies and all the officers are out there trying their best to respond to those calls. And there's more incidences than there are deputies and officers out on the road. So it's one of those things every snowfall. just got to be careful.
Okay.
So that's my public safety statement on that.
And the next time you come back, it might actually feel like winter.
It might a little bit, you know. I gotta admit, warm weather's nice, but 90's a little too much this time of year.
I would have to agree. And on that, we'll call it a show. We want to thank Jeremiah Johnson from the Beaver Dam Police Department for being with us. It's been an hour well spent.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for having me. Everybody stay safe and enjoy fall.
This is Community Comment on 95.3 WBEV, powered by Daily Dodge.
Listen to Green Bay.